Hey, we've been doing a sermon series at Illuminate Church called Don't Quit. And I'm going to share a story about an example of not quitting today. And if you haven't seen any of our series, it's available to watch on YouTube or on Facebook. We're also going to be finishing up this series. We have our last one coming up on March 9th. And I'd love for you to come to Illuminate Church and hear it. We're going to have some great inspirational stories about persevering and not quitting with what God's called you to do. But the story I'm going to share today is about Audie Murphy. If you don't know who Audie Murphy was, he is the most combat decorated soldier from World War II. He actually played himself in a movie afterwards called To Hell and Back Again. He had to lie to get into the military. He was 17 when he joined. They kept telling him he couldn't join because he was underweight and underage, but he finally was able to lie about his age and he joined. And here's his Medal of Honor citation. It took place on January 26, 1945, when he was just 19 years old. And I'm going to read it. And it says, Second Lieutenant Murphy commanding Company B, which was attacked by 6 tanks and waves of infantry. Second Lieutenant Murphy ordered his men to withdraw to prepare to defend positions in a woods, while he remained forward at his command post and continued to give fire directions to the artillery by telephone. Behind him to his right, one of our tank destroyers received a direct hit and began to burn. Its crew withdrew to the woods. Second Lieutenant Murphy continued to direct artillery fire, which killed large numbers of the advancing enemy infantry. With the enemy tanks abreast of his position, Second Lieutenant Murphy climbed on the burning tank destroyer, which was in danger of blowing up at any moment, and employed its 50 caliber machine gun against the enemy. He was alone and exposed to German fire from 3 sides, but his deadly fire killed dozens of Germans and caused their infantry attack to waver. The enemy tanks, losing infantry support, began to fall back. For an hour, the Germans tried every available weapon to eliminate Second Lieutenant Murphy, but he continued to hold his position and wiped out a squad which was trying to creep up unnoticed on his right flank. Germans reached as close as 10 yards, only to be mowed down by his fire. He received a leg wound but ignored it and continued the single-handed fight until his ammunition was exhausted. He then made his way back to his company, refused medical attention, and organized his company in a counterattack which forced the Germans to withdraw. His directing of artillery fire wiped out many of the enemy. He killed or wounded about 50. Second Lieutenant Murphy's indomitable courage and his refusal to give an inch of ground saved his company from possible encirclement and destruction and enabled it to hold the woods, which had been the enemy's objective. Just what a great story. Again, alone and against all odds, he continued to hold his position and he saw a victory. And I like to share stories of military examples in my sermon series, probably because I am a veteran and also because as Christians, we are engaged in spiritual warfare. And our target that we are fighting for is for people's eternal souls. And I just want to encourage you with this verse. It has been a verse that has been our theme throughout this series. And it's Galatians 6:9. And there Paul writes, So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. Keep doing what God's called you to do. God will either change the circumstances around you, he'll either change other people's hearts, or he will do something inside of you. But do not give up. Keep doing what God has called you to do.